Today on the Daniel Baldwin Show, viewer mail, and it makes me really sad. Coming at you right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show, and let's get right to it with viewer mail. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. I got up early, and I wanted to put together this show. I'm going to do a short show today because I am on my way to New York tomorrow to do a movie. I'm working for about 10 days in New York on a film, and I got a lot of stuff I got to do. I got to get ready. I got to get Mama ready and the girls and my son, and lots of stuff to do around the house in preparation. When you take off to work as an actor, you know, you have your family, which comes really before anything, and my wife, you know, most importantly, and she works like, 12 hours a day. So I got to make Mama right. I got to get going. But let's take a look at this viewer mail. And it says, Karen Johnson of Spokane, Washington wants to know, hey DB, what do you think about all this controversy right now on the gas prices? Well, Karen, I think we're going to see prices come down. I think that there's a combination of things going on. The war obviously is having a drastic effect on why they're not coming down. They have come down some, especially near here. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm having some coffee. Sorry, Karen. But remember too, we inherited some really, really high numbers on gas and groceries were really, really astronomical. I've never seen them that high, and that was under Biden. So a lot of people have asked why, after over a year now, these problems haven't been rectified. Well, let me tell you this. It took 4 years for them to f it up, and 8 years of Biden, or rather 8 years of Obama before that. We had one break there of those 12 years, which was the original 4 years of Trump. So let's see where it's at. Sadly, I'd like to see it come down faster. I think you're going to see, we've had a break from OPEC, just got announced. So that's going to really drop gas prices a lot. So be patient. It's coming. It's definitely gotten better than it was under Biden. And I think you're going to see in the next 12 months, it dropped down to new all-time lows. So that should be exciting. So that's the viewer mail really quick. I want to go into why I'm sad. I have gotten more social media posts, and I'm not, unless you're rude on my personal social media, unless you, which I find comes way more from the left. I don't remember. I posted a thing of Johnny Carson. Let's put this Johnny Carson post up. Let's just put it up. So you can see in this that Johnny is hosting the Academy Awards. And this was when Reagan got shot. They postponed the awards to make sure he was okay. And you see how Carson handles it, how the entire audience applauds to find out. Now, this is a traditionally Democratic town. Ron Reagan was a Republican. He was governor of California for a while. So he definitely had friends in California. But in a space where multiple presidents and no one ever worse than Trump, have you heard people ask for his death or talk about him dying, or Jimmy Kimmel making fun of his wife and mourning her dead husband? And this is the way it was when I fell in love, and before this, before the 80s, but when I came up as a young man and learned about Hollywood, and how I talked to my older brother, because he was the first one going in, and how exciting it was to see him on TV, and how proud I was of him that, he was going to show him. He's going to show him what, this Irish Catholic group from Massapequa, New York was going to, be on big screens, and we were going to do it. And he was our rep, he was the oldest. So, man, it was an exciting, fun time, but we never hated anyone. We never wanted someone to die or laughed about them dying. It's really disturbing to me. It really is. I mean, the world has gotten so bad in some ways. I used to be proud to say I was an actor. You walk into a room now and say, yeah, I'm an actor. I'm a movie actor and television actor. And, you're in front of people that may not know who you are, or may have forgotten who you are. But yeah, it's not something I'm as proud to say, or is it as big a deal because of the hatred that comes out from that side. And I'm going to tell you that I know the hatred that comes out from that side. I'm not saying it's excluded to the Democratic Party or to the left. But remember, I was a Democrat, a registered Democrat, a supporter from Jimmy Carter until 2016 of the Democratic Party. So I was in Hollywood, I was in circles of people that were very famous and very powerful. I've never seen anything like it. Even in my own experience on, like I said, social media, I'll get what are you talking about? You idiot, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you need to call me a idiot? Did you just call me that? Like, what, if my opinion is different than yours, if my vote is different than yours, if my perspective is different from yours, if my life is different from yours, my life as an actor and a father of 2 teenage girls and a young 2-year-old son, and most importantly, to my wife, and she and I don't always see eye to eye on anything. This will both be like, that's the way to go, and this will, hang on a second, what about, hang on a second. My wife is a female. That's not the same as me. She's an African-American woman and an attorney. So she looks at things, and her experiences in her life are very different. I don't ever say anything terrible to my wife or bad about my wife, or, we would never do that to each other. So, and I'm not saying I'm married to the people that are criticizing me, or it needs to be respected the same as a marriage, but my dog just saw me outside doing the show. He wants in. You understand what I'm saying? I remember being in restaurants, or I remember being on movie sets with like big name people, Oscar winner, high paid talent, and they would just be on some politician or person. They're like, yeah, someone should get him. Someone should shoot him. Once someone said in front of me, and I thought, wow, your voice carries weight. Your words have followers and people, and this is part of what's going on with Kimmel right now. That does Jimmy Kimmel not realize that when you keep bombarding in every one of your monologues and planting this kind of hatred in the American public or the people that follow you, someone might act on that. Now, does that exonerate Kimmel of any wrongdoing? Yeah, he didn't do it, but did he play a role in it? Does he care that he played a role? Is that the point? Does he do it because he wants that to happen? I don't know the answer to those questions, but I'm sad, man. I'm sad at where we're at. We have this big, beautiful country. We're super wealthy and powerful, and yet, you look at some of the things that we falter in. We're way down the list in certain medical things, in infant mortality, in reading, in writing, and why? Because we commercialize phones and we pump all this into kids and have taken away all their chutzpah, and we've taken away all their drive. You don't have to look up anything anymore and read it. You hit a button on your phone and it'll answer it for you and write the paper for you. There's no clarity, and there doesn't seem to be much feeling. It's like anesthesia. It's mental and emotional anesthesia. You're going to get the tooth done and you're scared to death because it's so painful, and they put that needle in. It hurts when they put that needle in, no matter what. Even if they spray that stuff in your mouth, it hurts when they get that needle right into the nerve. But after a few minutes, you have to move your tongue onto your tooth. You're like, wow, I don't feel that pain anymore. And they're drilling, and you hear the sound, and you smell the smells and the swooshy stuff in your mouth, and fragments of your tooth are being drilled out, and blah, whatever they're doing. And the root canal is done, and your mouth is still numb, and you don't feel it. You don't feel it because you're anesthetized. And I feel like America is anesthetized now. We blurt out terrible things about each other. We're a very violent nation. Our school systems, I look at my children now and my young son, and I've had these conversations with my wife where I go, I don't think I'm going to send him. Now, this is from a child of two educators. My father, for full career, my mom, as the kids got older, did some substitute teaching and everything, but I don't think I'm going to send my son. Not with the things that go on in the schools now. And, there was a post I saw, and I'm not going to get it verbatim, but it said, these are the things I didn't face when I went to school. A metal scanner, kids having sex in the bathroom, cursing at teachers, violence. It listed like 10 things. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, did any kid ever go in his car in the parking lot and fool around with his girlfriend or whatever? I guess I never did, but so I guess some of those things, but it wasn't commonplace. I had my daughter tell me about a friend of hers that got caught having sex in the girls' room in a stall in junior high school, when she was in junior high school, and I thought, am I naive, or I would have heard about that if that ever happened when I was in school. And I know that there's a certain amount of progressive stuff that goes on, that it gets eroded, if you will, over time. The language, the habits, the drug use has gotten younger, but even the drug thing. I'm going to tell you a quick story. There was a guy. I need a sip of coffee, so hang on. There was a guy, he was a little bit of a strange guy, who lived near our home. And we had a deli, Tony's Deli, on Encore Road. And Tony's Deli was on this main drag, this main thoroughfare that you drove to enter this area called Nassau Shores that I lived in. And the rumor has it that this kind of weird guy that was 45 and lived, with his mother still, all the stereotypes, had pulled the car over and opened the door, and he had his underwear on or whatever he did, or he exposed himself. There were no police involved. No one called the cops. Three girls were out in front of the deli. One was somebody that I knew, my family knew. And the fathers of those girls showed up on this guy's doorstep. And they knocked on the door. They never yelled. They never threatened anybody. They said, you need to sell your house and move. Here's what happened. Blah, blah. The mother looked and she was, and he went, yeah, you need to sell your house. We're going to give you a week, get it on the market. You guys need to go. Or, you can fill in the blank. Now, had that family not moved, the guy, I'm sure, would have got the crap beat out of him several times. And it would have been, quite apparent that they were not wanted in the area, and they would have had to have moved. I don't think it came to that. I was a kid. I was 7. But I remember hearing about it. And I remember the guy, too. He was kind of strange cat, would walk a lot, say, hey, how are you? He was out there. Maybe he wasn't mentally well, but he drove, and that gave him access to get around, and he was dangerous. And they left. They ended up leaving. So my point is, we policed ourselves back then. Some of the things that go on right now in these schools or on the streets or in the areas and would never have happened 30 years ago, even 30. I'm 65, but 45 years ago, when I was 20 or before that, most of this stuff wouldn't have happened that goes on there. A coach or a teacher could grab a kid by the shirt and pop him up against a locker. You couldn't really punch him, but you could reprimand him physically, and invoke your physicality against a kid at high school. You didn't really hit anybody, but you could scare him. You raise your voice, push him up against a locker. My dad was not a guy that you would want to mess with. Not many kids in high school ever did, even as he got older. But those kinds of things are gone now. they call their lawyer, or they are okay with the behavior, is really what it boils down to. They're okay with the behavior. I've struggled in the past, and I'm sad with the things that have been taken out of the classroom. And of course, if you don't believe in a certain thing, that's okay. That's okay. I have someone very close to me that said, when I said prayer got taken out of school, and this person said, what about the Middle Eastern kids, or what about the Jewish kids, or what about they don't believe in Jesus Christ? And I said, okay, but a majority of the people that are in this particular school do. And that's not the part. I'm sad that they took Christ out of school. I'm sad that they took the Pledge of Allegiance out of school, for sure. We used to pledge in class allegiance to the flag, our loyalty to our country. They took that out. That wasn't good to have. That makes me sad. It makes me sad that kids don't grow up thinking that they should be proud to be Americans, that they should be proud of the USA. And the news that gets out about how bad it is and how terrible the people are. It used to be that we butted heads over how we get a certain thing done, the way we take the car and go up here, and then you zip line down. So your plan, we all agreed basically about what the problem was what's the best way to solve the problem. There might have been different plans, or maybe variations on a same plan, but that was the Democrats and that was the Republicans. It wasn't that there was sneaky, covert, terrible, awful things going on between them that, let me stop, because remember something, there's no script on my show. There's no script. And sometimes you can really tell. And other times I'm pulling up paper and reading you things, and I may be a little more planned. I'm not today, because I wanted it to come from my heart. I didn't want it to come from a plan from the show. When I tell you that I'm sad about something, that means I'm feeling something, and that I want you to feel something with me. I really do. I really do. Whether we agree or not, I want you to. When there's an issue between the two sides, and let's face it, it's the Democrats and Republicans, and they pretty much run the show. And for a long time, the Democrats were for the people, the little guy, the average guy, and the Republicans were for people that had money or business or more business inclined. Their followings were identified in my childhood that way. And I jumped over when Elon Musk came out and he started saying, hey, there's a real problem over here. These people are spending a lot of money. And as I take a look at it, I can tell you that the money didn't go to that. Now, if we were at the town board meeting and I worked at the bank and I show up at the town board meeting because I know some information about a board member and then a bunch of money has been misappropriated, I'd be a hero. People would say, thank God he came through and he said, some people would say, you ratted out that person. Well, let's say I went to that person and said, I'm going to say something if you don't put the money, however you want to color it. Here's the painting, it's this object, and you can color it any way you want it. You can say whatever you want about how you tell the story. The bottom line is, someone on the board stole money. Everyone would have been happy to know that their money was being stolen. That didn't happen with Elon Musk. This is a great example of what I'm talking about. People talked about, he's nobody, he's not a government official, he's not this, he's not that. I mean, I heard more people talk about Elon Musk and how who is he, what government office, what's Trump doing, He exposed where hundreds of billions of dollars were being misappropriated and stolen from the pool of taxpayer money. And you're not happy about that? How is that possible that you're not happy that this guy exposed this terrible waste and this criminal activity? What happened to us? What happened to us? We shouldn't care who was responsible, what side they're on. They need to be taken out. If there's Congress people that have come in And they started with $2.6 million, their house, their husband's career, their home, their cars, their wife's career, whatever it is. And now they're worth $150 million when they make $200,000 a year as a congressperson. Shouldn't that be looked at? Doesn't that stir in you like, hey, how's that possible? It does me. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. I want that looked at by someone, and I want an investigation to show. Can you explain where you got the first 100 million from, please? Because you've been a congressperson for 25 years. So you've made 200,000 times 25, but you're worth $190 million. How is that possible? Did your husband, invest in stocks that blew up? Did he own early Apple stock? Show me some reason why that's possible, or even palpable. And I'll say, okay, well, great. You guys congratulations, you guys got hot. That's not what happened. And you know that's not what happened. And you know where I'm going with it. But what I want to know, what I try to do so many times on this show is to get you to think about not just that. Why aren't you upset? Why are you okay with my kid, like I did, won't be going to school saying I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America? He's not going to say that. He's not allowed to say it. They don't practice it. And he can't pray and say the Our Father. These are all things that have been removed and have been reported to be detrimental or biased or whatever. Okay. But I'm going to go and we're going to vote whether or not we're going to do gender identification of a third grader and teach him a class and a section so where he can fully understand. He was born a male, he has a penis, and he's going to go through whether he's having any doubts yet, and then they're going to take a transgender woman. So this is a man who has now decided that he identifies as a woman. But we're going to say she now because that's the choice. Still has a penis. Going to go in the locker room, going to go in the bathroom with your third graders if he has to urinate. And I will have people send letters to me saying, I have no right to say, I don't want my kid in that class. The board has clearly voted that this course is going to be taught about it. And so we go ahead behind the board's back and we take a vote and we get some numbers together. And it's 90-something% say, we don't. 94% say they don't want that in the classroom. And the board says, we've already voted. We don't care what you want. Look closely. We don't care what you want. That makes me so sad. That makes me so sad because my child will not experience getting on the bus and going to school. My son, my wife and I are very, very iffy about if he'll ever go to a public school. I think more like Tim Tebow, whose mom talked about, she taught those kids at home, more of a Swedish, Finlandian education where they don't get sat down and programmed to sit behind a desk for 7 hours, 8 hours a day. A little boy's not supposed to sit behind a desk for 8 hours a day and learn arithmetic and spelling. He's not. He needs to run around and swim and climb stuff and throw stuff and get dirty and play sports. You start teaching him that stuff when he's 7, 8, not at 4, not preschool at 3. Tommy knows how to spell bus. Tommy's not getting on a fucking bus till he's 8. So what does it matter if he can spell it? What's wrong with you people? Do you not see that in school, they're being programmed to be good little quiet workers? This is why they set up the education system the way they did. We're failing our children with public schools. Failing them. Fail. Failing. Did you get the message? I'm sad. I'm sad at the direction we're going in, man. I really am. And you look at a guy like this president and what he wants and what he's trying to do, and everyone just keeps beating the crap out of him, calling him things that he did an interview recently where they brought up the manifesto of this new assassin that they caught. and the guy said something about him, being a and being this and that. And Trump looked at this woman and said, I'm not a I knew you'd bring it up, but I'm not a racist, and I never did that, and I never did it. And no one's ever proven anything, and stories have come out now of payoffs and dirty business going on, and look what's going on with Obama. Look what's going on with Obama. Barack Obama. I prayed for him. I thought, here we are, we're gonna change this around, the racism in this country. We're gonna elect an African-American president. And we're gonna do, and I was behind it. I was good. I didn't get hip to Trump until 2016. And I was a Democrat since the time I could vote first for Jimmy Carter in 1980. And I look at this now, and I look at what's coming out, and it's facts. It's hard facts about Obama and his administration and what they did with Trump at the end. And it's not looking good for his legacy. It's not, which is sad because I think that he did some good things, but there are some other things that are coming out too about the weaponization of his insurance healthcare program. And it's funny, you get more to the truth about any president years and years after. The further they're gone, the release of records, and people want to talk, and people don't want to go, they don't want to die, knowing the things that they know. And so they come out and they say, hey, wait a second, this guy was killed because blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I'm sad, man. I really am. I'm when I travel, when I'm in Europe or I'm in Central America, South America, different places that I go, Canada, Mexico, right here in North America. And I see somebody and they say, where are you from? And I say, I'm an American. You say that and I would hold my head up high like, yeah, that's right. You wish you were from America, because we're so tough, we're so badass, we're so, man, it's not that way. It's getting better. We're back on the block. People are turning. We're turning eyes and heads right now with what we're getting done this administration. But I don't want to be sad anymore. I don't. I want to be proud. I want some of the old way back. It was a better way to live. It really was. I think that the greatest disappointment in my life will be the development of these telephones, these cell phones. There's a lot to be said about AI and all the tremendous things it can do and blah, but it's the access and the mind control. Talk about trying to put them all in line and just make them behave a certain way. Nothing demonstrates that better than our phones and our education system. Nothing. So I'm going to teach my son. I'm going to have to spend just more time at home and teach my son so I'm not so sad. Because I woke up this morning and I just started thinking about how it's going. I had a friend write some terrible stuff about the administration and the assassination and this whole buzz that's going on, that it was a setup. And I remember I wrote him privately. I didn't argue with him. I don't want to say argue, but debate him in a public arena. And I said, do you really think that, because if you're all the way inside, the stronghold would be entering the building, maybe in the parking lot, but this guy came walking up with an outfit. He could have been a photographer, he could have been whatever. When he pulls his weapon out in the lobby, well, of course they repel that and the shots go off very far from anyone getting anywhere near the president with a weapon. So, but he went on to talk about how it was staged and how things moved and looked more, he's an actor, things moved in a Hollywood production fashion, stunt coordination, and it wasn't even good stunt coordination, blah, blah, blah. And so when you watch the videotape of...
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure that all of you here and most of you watching tonight understand why we delayed this program for 24 hours. Because of the incredible events of yesterday, that old adage, the show must go on, seemed relatively unimportant. The Academy, ABC Television, and all of us connected with the show felt because of the uncertain outcome, as of this time yesterday, it would have been inappropriate to stage a celebration. But the news today is very good, as you know. The President is in excellent condition at last reports. He's been conducting business. And he happens to be in very good spirits. After all, you must remember this is a man who yesterday, while he was in the hospital unable to speak, wrote on a sheet of paper, "All things considered, I'd rather be in Philadelphia." So tonight the show does go on. Now, 2 weeks ago, President Reagan videotaped an opening greeting for this occasion. We were in contact with the White House about 2 hours ago, and it was the President's express wishes that we use that introduction. And I might add that you might like to know that he also asked for a television set in his room so he could view this program tonight. Actually, the President was in such good form today, I was very tempted to call him and ask him if he had any more of those one-liners that I could use. So it is especially pleasing tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to say, here is the President of the United States.
I was amazed that J.D. Vance was cleared first before the president was. But I think if I understand operations correctly, they're not going to move the president until they're absolutely assured they're not moving him towards more trouble. So they huddled around him and waited seconds, and then they moved him off. But you could hear the shots go off. So it's a setup, according to this friend, and it's staged. And I went into it. I was going to do a full show on it being staged. And then I thought to myself, so you shot a guard in the chest with a shotgun, and he was part of the act. Wow. Is that just made up, or did he take around for the team, for the staging team that wanted it to look good? Because a whole lot of, you'd have to control everyone that was in that lobby, everyone that saw it. You know, people talk about the moonwalking and the new Artemis moon astronauts, and 2 of them are actors. I mean, there's some really shady stuff that has come up about this. But if you slip them out of the rocket before the rocket went up, and then they were in some room going, yeah, you know, whatever. I guess it's possible. You'd have to have a number of people that knew about it, but they try to make it sound like the NASA moonwalk couldn't have been possible. Well, they could have shot it all before they did it and then just fed the tape into the room of the people that were working at NASA, and they all would have believed that what they were seeing was live. Like President Nixon picking up a telephone and calling the astronauts while they were, you know, on the moon. I want that phone, man. I want that phone. I want to call cats when they're up on Mars in years to come, because Nixon had a phone. You could just do right out of the White House. He picked up a regular phone. Well, I want to feel better. I went through the information and setting up the show on the stage assassination, and it made me so sad. It did. It just, like, I was looking up all this stuff and how many people are, and the awful stuff they're saying, and that, you know, Trump, when he got shot, that was a setup, and they gunned that kid down, and now this Charlie Kirk thing, obviously that kid didn't take a single shot. And now this, you know, there was the guy outside of Mar-a-Lago, the golf course, they caught him. There's a lot of sick people out there that would do terrible things. And they sort of listed the guys from Lincoln to McKinley to Kennedy to, you know, all these different cats that got assassinated, and they all got assassinated by Democrats. They got assassinated by people that were very, very upset with the current president, whichever one they tried to kill, and all of them were Democrats. I wonder what America's going to do, and this is another thing I'm sad about. What's America going to do if it gets really bad? What are you going to do if, are we going to have another civil war? Would it come down to fighting each other over our principles and what we believe. Because, I would fight for my country. I would. I'm much older, but I would definitely fight to protect my rights. I would fight against an aggressor, anyone that tried to touch or hurt my wife, first of all, and then my children after that. So I would fight anyone that did that. But I look at what people say, how they've called for the death. They've implied Pelosi, Schiff, Chuck Schumer, like just Elizabeth Warren, just these high-ranking congressional and senatorial officials that have come right out and said, we'd be better off with him dead, or have made comments about his demise. And I think to myself, what if somebody was to retaliate for that? Would we get the same response that we're getting from people going, the Jimmy Kimmels of the world that have a bunch of people on the left in his pocket that are going to stick up for him with ABC and that are going to say things that he has a right to say what he wants and he has a right to free speech? Okay, but listen, I have a right to my restaurant to be run the way I want it. It's my restaurant. So if you don't like it and you're an employee there, go work somewhere else. This is how I do it. These tables are cleaned every single time after we're done. This is swept up. This is I don't really think I should have to do that. Well, then you go work somewhere else. That's the bottom line. The same goes for this here. If I'm ABC, and this is the second riff, Charlie Kirk was the first, and this guy starts talking some shit about a standing president and violence, and your show's canceled, you're out, bye, good talking to you. They don't have to have the behavioral contract that you sign when you're an on-camera person for a network television station. I've had to sign many of them. I've been on a number of TV shows. And so, yeah, they don't have to have an excuse. They can fire you if they don't like the smell of your fart. You're out. We're done. You're not going on tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time and your service. We're going to have security bring you in. Please clean out all of your things in a box and leave in an orderly fashion. Leave your parking pass with the security agent. Thank you. That's it. That's how it goes. So I'm not sure what we're talking about here, but I'm sad. I'm sad that there aren't people that are from the TV and film business like myself that haven't said, hey man, shut up. Told this guy to shut the up. What are you doing? What are you saying? Whether you voted for Trump or didn't vote for Trump, have some respect. Go back and look at that piece of Carson, Johnny Carson, that I played on the show. Go back and look at it. Look at how classy that was. Look, Ron Reagan was shot, and some guy actually wrote, I said, I posted that piece on my personal social media, and some guy wrote, well, the difference is Reagan was actually shot. And I thought, are you that freaking stupid? So the guy's got to get hit with a bullet, like Butler, Pennsylvania, or Bobby Kennedy or John Kennedy, or like he's got to get hit with the bullet. But it wasn't just as bad when I think it was Squeaky Fromm shot at Ford, Gerald Ford, when he was president. Yeah. Like I said, that makes me sad that someone would write that they'd be that stupid to say that the difference is Reagan was hit by the bullet. A guy stormed in to an event with harm and death on his mind. Semi-automatic pistol, shotgun. An agent that works in law enforcement in this country for us to protect and serve was shot in the chest. Sorry, I didn't mean for the show to be such a downer, but I'm sad, man, and I thought I'd share it with you. So I need you to do me a favor, please. If you could hit share, if you could subscribe to the show, if you could like the show, that helps me. It helps me. And as we get closer to our move to Texas, we're going to bring in multiple cameras and guests and some really fun stuff and try to take this up a notch, because I'm sure sometimes you listen to me, just like today is a perfect example. I had little or no plan when I was getting ready, like I said, to do, more of a typical version of my show. I got really sad about where we're at as a country right now and the things we say and do, and I want to change. I want to change it. I want to change it. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to personally do that. I've said before, maybe I just need to run for office. Maybe that should be the next move, and I can make some kind of a difference and face some of these creepy people down in Washington, make them say it to my face, and maybe use my influence to make it better for our wives and our kids. Anyway, I'm going to pray. Lord God, we thank you so much for your guidance and for protecting us, Jesus. We love you. And I ask you, God, for some of these people out there, even for Jimmy Kimmel, people that are getting heat for what they said, help them know you, God. Shine your light on them. Bring them back to a place where they're humble. Humble them, Lord. Humble them without hurting them. And bring them to your light, Jesus. We pray for all of them out there that are looking for pain and controversy and conflict. And for our soldiers, men and women who are serving right now in Iran and all around the world. Lord, please keep them safe, God. Let them come home to their families and let them be the proud example of America around the world. In your name we pray, amen. So, those men and women out there that serve our country, we can never pray for them enough. We can never repay them for what they do. Police officers, firemen, any law enforcement agents, this man who took a shot to the chest trying to protect the president, and all of the reporters at this dinner in Washington. We can't say thank you to them enough. They're not paid enough, and we can't say thank you to them enough for serving us. So praise God, and I'll talk to you next time.